Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I do apologize for my lengthy absence, but with the transition between winter break into my final semester, it has been kind of hectic, one can maybe say. So yeah, no, I'm back, and I'm hoping to jump back into the saddle and start making some content again. And in an effort to diversify my channel's content, well, as you can see at the moment, we are trying something new, as the kids might say. Yes, we are here in Albion Online today. It's a game that my friends tried to get me into a while back, and I never saw the point. Bit of an open world sandbox, do whatever you want, no quests. Well, me being the RPG nerd that I am, like, what? No quests? Where's the fun in this? And so I kind of blew them off, and eventually they started to stop playing as well. But a little while ago, I decided to give the game a second chance, and the whole there's no direction, there's no quests, make your own fun. It's kind of grown on me to the point where, it is one of the main ways I've spent time the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I am definitely hoping to, make it a mainstay on the channel and hope you guys enjoy. So let's hop on in. Alright. So I obviously am still learning the game, very new player, but I have sunk a little bit of time into it, and obviously, as some people can tell, premium island, so sunk a little bit of time and a couple bucks just to get premium status because the island has been fun taking care of it. But yeah. So what are we gonna get up to today? Well, the goal I am trying to reach. Yeah, pretty much made my faction home here at Limhurst. We're gonna try to go work on some of our wood cutting content. Wood cutting content. I say that like it's interesting, more like watching paint dry. But on the advice of some lovely guild members I have in this game, the farther away from the town, that's where the best gathering is. So we might make our way up to either Ennis Mons or Rowanwood and try to get some lumber. Take a quick stop by the Lumhurst Market to pick up on some pork pies. Get that good gather yield increase. And since I'm going to be so far away, I should probably repair my axe. Seeing as how yeah, it's gonna be a little bit hard to do that in the field. So all right, PORKPIE. That's probably going to be an hour-long episode, so let's grab two for 2 30 minutes. Don't know if I'll be working for all those blah, 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 English. What is it? Don't know if I'll be working for an hour straight, but at the very least, we'll have it as an option. Okay, get my stuff repaired. Well, specifically the axe. All right. Oh, I'm gonna get back on the old moose. And let's make our way. I think it was Rowanwood is where we're going. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of people in Lindemers today. My game's kind of chugging a little bit, but yeah, no, I've honestly fallen back in love with this game. I love the art style. I love the gameplay of it, and I didn't think I'd you know like the whole there is really no direction. The world is your own sort of thing. But I it itches something in my monkey brain just right to, after a long day of work, get home and just put on one of my history podcasts and just vibe to chopping wood for 3 hours. Maybe not that long, but there's a certain satisfaction to it. So I have very much enjoyed that. And me being the fantasy nerd I am, I mean, come on, I'm always looking for another fantasy game. So yeah, good stuff indeed. There are some hard lessons to learn about this game, that's for dang sure, though. The build I'm running with now, oh, that's not the inventory. Yeah, so we got the I don't think the cleric's cowl, I should keep that. I think that was just something I picked up in the dungeon to help sustain. But mercenary jackets, assassin shoes. I'm trying to do a nature staff build right now. My first build I really fell in love with was the Claymore build. and that got me grinding real heavily, until I got that up to tier 7, and I'm like, wow, look at me, I am such a freaking badass. And I thought, yeah, this is the perfect time to try out PvP. And after losing a a whole, set, great sword included, great sword, cape, and bag of T6 enchanted equipment to a failed PvP gank. And then, oh my god, I was so close to quitting the game a couple of nights ago when I lost a full set of T7. It was only tier 1 enchanted armor, but I lost a full set of T7 armor to a corrupted dungeon invasion, which I almost won. I left that son of a something on like 2 health. And that was probably the most dejected I have felt in a game in my life, but it's taught me some valuable lessons. That maybe it's time to take the game a little bit slower, and maybe maybe save my top tier gear for more safe endeavors like the arena and like expeditions. So that's how until at recommendations I've been given, I could replace my armor 10 times over. I think we steering clear of, at the very least, solo PvP for a little while. Where is this path to Rowanwood? Well, it's N for the local map. Okay. Not really many roads in this zone, so frickin' wolves. Alright, there we go. So, this is the farthest wooded region I could find away, so let's get a choppin'. Alright. Pop that pie. I was trying to, how you like getting into your role play. I was trying to like build kind of like a druidy looking character here to start working on another build compared to my sort of fighter claymore build. And that's one of the very curious things about Albion. Like, I mean, because there's a set of armor called Druid's Cowl, Druid's Robe, Druid's Boots, and that's the one I immediately jumped at. But rarely rarely do all the sets together. All items, the boots, the chest piece, and the helmet of of the armor set. Rarely do they work well together, and I find that kind of funny. It's always you wanna mix and match a bit more with all the other sets to get the most optimal build. And obviously, I figured out that nature is. Nature is more of the healing oriented build. Oh, frick, I need the experts. Healing-oriented skill in this game. I don't know. I know there's a holy staff, but I don't know if much comes with that. Is that frick? Frickin' rough logs. I'm gonna find. Usually, there's like a pretty dang good patch or two of tier 5 gatherables. There we go, cedar tree. Yep. So we're trying to make a bit of a PvE druid build work here. So I didn't originally run the mercenary's jacket. I think I was running the cleric's robe actually, but the frickin' this ability right here, bloodlust. My God, that saved my ass so many times when I've been playing this. So. Yep. So yeah. So we're gonna be vibing here for a bit. So if obviously I know you might not want to watch all of this lumberjacking. So I will try my best to keep us entertained for the next 30 or so minutes with some good ramblings or good stories. So yeah. I recently found this podcast I've been picking up again. I shouldn't say recently found. I've listened to it before, but this guy's narration is always top notch. But it's called the History of Rome podcast by let me check the author quickly, by Mike Duncan on Spotify. Like if you're a fan of history like me, oh god, just absolutely adore like all things history. Like I was the kind of nerd back in high school who, requested a copy of the textbook to take home and read, and I read it because, I just loved history that much. And one of my favorite time periods of all time is ancient antiquity, the Roman era. The early civilizations of the Mediterranean. I just cannot get enough of that. Um, yeah, but I started listening to it again, and good God. Rome, 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 Rome. What a impact it had on history. um, yeah. Where do you even start talking about something as crazy as that? Yeah, right now, I think the podcast has gotten to the early Republican era of the Roman period, like right after the first sacking by Gaulish tribes from the north. And for those of you who are somewhat unaware, just don't know the history, the Gauls were a Stone Age to Bronze Age era people from. I mean, again, my history is not perfect on this, so I might not be stating, exactly what it is, but a Stone Age to Bronze Age, maybe even Iron Age people who inhabited. Well, for one, God, yeah, they inhabited all over Europe to begin with, but they're mostly known for their presence in northern and southern France. Yeah, that was their main base of operations. But at the time of the early Republic, I guess I should explain that Gaulish or Celtic, that's another name to describe people from that area. There were several during the God, here I go again ranting. During the early antiquity, the period of early antiquity, and on to the end of Rome as well, there was several large migrations of people through Europe, and several large migrations of culture groups. One of the first ones was the Celts, and most of these people came from sort of the Eastern European area. Um, so yeah, first was the Celts, and they spread all across Europe, like to from Britain down to Spain. There's even my knowledge in this is solely from Rome Total War II. There's even a people of Celtic origin. I don't know how long they stayed that way, but called the Galatians. Name also sounds slightly familiar from Christian texts, but the Galatians, who were found in Anatolia or modern day Turkey, so they were all over the goddamn place. Excuse my language. But yeah, really, really far-reaching people. The next that came after them were the Germans, and oh, hello, Wolf. Bit rude, isn't it? Yeah, the Germans came after them, who pushed the Celts out, and then the again, my history is slightly fuzzy. I don't know if it was Slavic people next that came, or if it was still Germans. But with the invasion of the Huns at the time, and, I'm sure the name Attila the Hun is quite familiar to a few of you. There was another great migration that pushed the Germans and people living in that area further and further to the west. Um, but yeah, that was a very very circular point I had to make there. But going back to the point I was trying to make, yeah, at this time in the early Republic, when Rome was still confined mostly to the Italian peninsula. Obviously, you have Italy, and then you have France, and they're divided by the Alps, and so, you know, Celtic tribes, I mean, Gallic or Celtic. I know the terms aren't necessarily the same, but in my shorthand laziness, I kind of use them interchangeably. But they would sometimes migrate over the Alps in search of new land. You know, oh, it's an uncommon wisp. Let's check it out. I don't know if the uncommons are safe PvP areas, but we'll see. Quick pause on the history story. Yeah, it's safe PvP. Okay, well let's see what weird and wacky stuff I can gather in here. I've been told that the mists are good gathering for relatively in relative safety. But yeah, Celtic or Gallic tribes would migrate over the Alps into northern Italy because they were a pastoral people, and they had great farmable land in the I think northern Italy is the Po Valley, right after the Alps. So yeah, it was very appealing to a migration of people. But obviously Italy was not uninhabited, and that often led to clashes with the local Italian people and the Gauls. And you know when there's a joke in my friend group that whenever we're explaining something that's overly complicated or long, like the lore of a video game or the lore of some show, that the joke is, oh, but first we got to go back and explain. And frickin' there's so many aspects to early Mediterranean civilization that need to be explained to properly understand the context in which you're trying to talk about. At the time in Italy, eventually we're going to circle back around to how the Celts related to the Romans and where I'm at in the podcast. But at the time in Italy, there were a couple major cultures and power groups that you needed to take note of. In the central Italy to northern Italy, there was the Etruscans, and the Etruscans they were the big power in Italy prior to the Romans. Like they were the settled people. They were the cultural hub, and they were pretty much anybody who's anybody in the civilized world lived within the league of Etruscan city-states. So there was never at the very least, not that I'm aware of, I could be wrong, there was never a centralized Etruscan state. Similar to the Greeks, I'm sure we all have at least a passing familiarity with, the Greeks operated in various city-states and single entities, and, the idea of a unified Greece never came during this time. It was a much later thing. Um, yeah, so there was never a centralized Etruscan state, but, these city-states were fabulously wealthy, or at least some of them were, and they were the pre-Roman, centers for trade and centers for anything, culture, philosophy, stuff like that. Yeah, at this time, or the heyday of the Etruscans, there was like a pretty big triangular trade in the Mediterranean. There was the Etruscans in central to northern Italy. There was the Greeks over in gosh, I know there's a name for the Greek little isthmus peninsula, but is it Achaia? Or does that relate to Athens? I don't know. But there was the Etruscans, there was the Greeks, and then there was another civilization known as the Carthaginians, who they'll become a somewhat influential people to Rome's later development as their first end-game boss when they came along. But they were a mercantile people based out of northern Africa. And yeah, there's a bit of a triangular trade between the three because the Etruscans had the resources of southern Europe and northern Italy. The Greeks prior to the Romans were at the very least in the European theater of things, they were. That was civilization, That was, the birthplace of democracy. That was where Western civilization, I think, can be argued where Western civilization began was with the Greeks. So, yeah, the Greeks, I mean, again, was the one of the first major centers of trade because that's where most of the civilized folk of the area lived, and Carthage had the resources of North Africa, so they were the big seafaring players in early Mediterranean history. But then the Romans came along and mucked it all up. So in Italy, so the Etruscans were in central to northern Italy. The Latin tribesmen. So what do I say when I say what do I mean when I say Latin tribesmen? Well, they got the name. I don't know exactly the origins of where the name Latin came from at to describe the people of that area. I'm somewhat unfamiliar with early Italian history, but it can be assumed that long time ago, far away, people from Eastern Europe and beyond migrated down into the Italian peninsula, and they were more akin to the Gauls and the Celts as they were a bit of a pastoral people, more of a tribal setup rather than the culture and the mercantile sort of basis of the Etruscans. So it's definitely there was a stark contrast between the two cultures, and the Latin tribesmen is although the, if I remember the podcast correctly, the legend is the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus, were the sons of a Etruscan king, but the Latin tribesmen is where the Romans arose from. So the Latin tribesmen occupied the hills and the mountains of central Italy and down the boot a little bit into southern Italy. And who, might you ask, was in control of southern Italy? Well, it was the Greeks, of course. The Greeks, although there was no central Greco power to, unite all Greeks, they were heavily colonization focused. They had colonies all the way from God, yeah, again, my knowledge based off of Total War Rome frickin' factions, but they had colonies like Massalia all the way up in central, I guess I should say, not central, southern France, all the way to the Black Sea. So the Greeks were very prolific and very, seafaring colonization heavy people. So, yeah, God, I'm trying to trying to think of the point I was making. Oh yes, so obviously the Italian peninsula only being a hop, skip, and a jump across the Adriatic Sea, it made it prime territory for colonization. So yeah, the southern boot of Italy and Sicily, the island that is beneath Italy, where it was prime. The Greeks rolled up and were like, "Dang, that just looks like free real estate for resources and all sorts of other things." So there were several big name Greek city states that resided in that area of Italy, and I'm sure a few of you can recognize names like Syracuse, or a name like Syracuse, I should say, like I had more to follow that up. But yeah, so that was the major powers of Italy at the time. And so to circle back around to the point I was making is, yeah, this time in the early Republic, there was a large Gallic migration down from the Alps, looking, for resources, for booty, for battle, all that good fun stuff, good family friendly content. And at this time, Rome had gained its independence from it's Etruscan masters. I guess to make a long story somewhat short, I mean obviously the Etruscans were the preeminent power of the time while Rome was initially forming. So it's fairly easy for these big wealthy city-states to exert their influence on a podunk backwards town that Rome was back in the day. But eventually the Romans did, assert their own independence and influence and were able to break away from Etruscan influence. Um, and they started to wrest their own power in central Italy, subjugating some of the local Latin tribesmen, and even taking the battle to some of the Etruscan city-states. Yeah, because again, remember there was no central Etruscan power, so all of the Etruscan city-states could be dealt with individually, and you didn't rise the wrath of all of northern Italy just for your grudge that you had with one single city-state. So there was a city-state by the name of Veii in particular that the Romans pretty much had an eternal grudge with for the longest time in early history. And yeah, they reduced Veii to the ground, and with their expansionist proclivities, one could say, they started looking north, believing that they were the preeminent powers in Italy. They believed that they should control all Italy. But I mean, obviously, it could never be their fault. The Romans were very funny in how they declared war. It was always a series of defensive wars. They themselves never declared war on anybody. So it always had to be, oh no, you attacked us. Oh no, you have wronged us. Oh no, you have insulted us. Or you have attacked one of our allies. You have, incurred our wrath somehow. And that's how the Romans got involved. So it was very funny. Um, yeah, so the group of Etruscan city-states had Rome pushing on their southern border, and had a large migration of Gallic tribesmen coming from the north. So they were not happy campers at that time. But yeah, in the podcast right now, I had just gotten to the first major. I was about to leave that without skimming it. God, what kind of Albion player do I think I am? God, don't you just love it when you can't talk? It's a wonderful feeling. Yeah. So in the podcast, I've just gotten to the first sacking of Rome by a Gallic tribe known as the Senones or Senones. It's something along those lines. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but the story is kind of funny. So I'm gonna make an assumption here. I don't know that this is necessarily true, so don't quote me on it. But I think it is generally accepted fact that Central Europeans to Northern Europeans, genetically are a bit more taller and a bit more muscular than Europeans of the Mediterranean area. So, comparing Italians, Spaniards, Greeks to like Germans, English, Norwegians, there's going to be a little bit of difference in build and height. So, and I think the same applied. Oh, the mists close. I didn't know that was a thing. Um, to be fair, I guess I didn't spend too much time here. Um, so yeah, even at the time of the Romans, this was a thing. I believe I could be wrong. Um, so the somewhat insular Romans, at this time they hadn't stepped, beyond their borders and become the huge expansionist empire they were destined to be. And so they were used to dealing and fighting neighbors like that were other Italians of similar stature and similar build. And when the Gauls rolled up, the story goes from the podcast I was listening to that the Romans just assembled the most massive army that they could of the time. From a single city in the surrounding territory, they brought up 12,000 to 20,000 men is the estimates, and they were ready to face the threat and push these barbarian scum back to the realms from whence they came. And the Senones roll up, blonde hair just billowing in the wind, all the warriors just like 7 foot tall, chiseled slabs of muscle, and apparently, I mean, again, at this point, this is still the legend of Rome rather than actual facts. So take everything with a grain of salt. But the Romans just saw the Senones and they're like, yeah, no, we're fucking out. Oh, where does this take me? Okay, back to the Roanwood. Yes, okay. And so they just like nope, threw down their weapons, fled back into the city, and yeah, that was the grand defense of Rome there. And within the city of Rome itself at the time, what am I saying at the time? I don't believe a hill would have gone anywhere, but there was a place in the city, a bit of a raised fortification called the Capitolian Hill or Capitoline Hill. Site of many famous events, rebellion of the plebes. It's a very important religious center, and but it was fairly fortified. It was up on a hill. It was easily barricaded, and the citizens of Rome, the leadership, the Senate, the army, they all pulled back into the fortifications on the hill, and yeah, just pretty much gave up their city to the Gauls, and like, yep, no, we're not fighting you. Just loot, sack, pillage at your at your pleasure. And yeah, and so that was the story of the first sacking of Rome. But frick, I just heard his name, but I've already forgotten the name of the Gallic leader. But the Gallic leader is like, I don't think I'm quite finished here. And so for a month or two, he actually laid siege to the Capitolian Hill. And, as sieges are, it did not go well for either side. And it's kind of funny that, obviously, Northern Europe is a bit more cooler and a bit less humid than central Italy, and so the Celts and the Gauls were not used to this, and yeah, that led them to having a very hard time dealing with the siege and the heat. And I mean, obviously the Romans were starving inside the Capitolian Hill. There was not enough to make a breakout effort, and people were dying on both sides. And in one of the get into one of the more badass moments of the Roman mythology or history. It pretty much, Brennus, I think Brennus was the name of the Celtic chieftain. Brennus basically walks up and it's just like, bro, this isn't going well for either of us. Just pay us a crap ton of gold and we'll leave you in peace. And okay, so the Romans agree to this, and they're emptying their treasury. They're giving their gold over to the Celts, and they're using these little scales to determine value and weight of the gold. And I don't know if it's explicitly stated, but the Romans realized that the Celts were giving them improperly balanced scales, so that the deals would always be made in the Celts' favor, or the exchanges, the tribute, whatever you call it. And when the Romans started complaining about it, it's like, hey, this is unfair. You're giving us a cheap deal. Brennus just walks up to the complaining Romans and just throws his sword on the side of the scale that would tilt it all the way in the Celts' favor. And the word is, the quote from him that he apparently said at this time is, "Woe be to the conquered," or "Woe be." Something fancy along those lines. We all know how eloquent history can be sometimes, but more along the lines of, yeah, we freaking beat you. I don't care. you have no stake in this argument. You're either going to give us the gold, or so be it. We're going to take it. So this is your opportunity to get us to leave peacefully under our terms, not yours. So, yep. And then Brennus took his gold and went off back north, and yeah, Rome's image of itself was, it was a little bit damaged after that. The Eternal City um, had been breached and sacked, and they had been humiliated. So no fun times all around. But it's actually kind of funny. It was going over in the podcast, and I didn't know this, but after the first sacking of Rome, the Senate was debating just abandoning the city altogether and going to rebuild somewhere else. Yeah, there was discussions that as one casually does, the Romans had committed a pretty large citywide bust on their Etruscan neighbors, the Veiites, and their city was pretty much a ghost town at this point. Yeah, like all their citizens were taken into slavery and no one lived there anymore. But it was a highly defensible city, and it was a miracle that the Romans even conquered it to begin with. But so yeah, the Senate was like, well, we just have this ghost town of like a highly defendable fortress right on our border. Why not we just go occupy Veii and just leave this stupid little area at the mouth of the is it the Tiber? Yeah, it's the Tiber. At the mouth of the Tiber, just to fade into history. But no, they decided that they were duty bound to put their middle fingers up to the universe and you know deny fate, as one could say. And you know, from that period of time, Rome lasted 1,000 more years. So I think they had an idea about the Eternal City. So yes, history is fun. I hope my little annoying rant there was not too much for you. Just trying to fill the time with something I found interesting. But I do so enjoy talking about history. I don't know. It's just one of those things, unlike the other subjects, that has a lot of flexibility to it, or a lot of area to ponder about exactly, and the facts of the matter. Like for example, like when you take mathematics or science or any other of the hard sciences, there's no debate that two plus two equals four. That is settled fact. You can't wonder about it. You can't ponder it. You can't change things about it. But with history, it's constantly being reworked, constantly being revised, and constantly new stuff is coming to the fore. And to a point, the same as with the scientific community. It's always being revised and always being updated. But I feel that there's a lot less room to be esoteric, to be philosophical with the scientific community. And as a person, if anyone ever, well, those of you who know me, I'm a very esoteric person. I like philosophic conversations about the meaning of life and our purpose on this world and all that other stuff. So I guess that's why I a little bit on an internal level, internal, not eternal. So yeah. All right. Well, this was supposed to be a wood gathering expedition, but I guess it turned into a wood and fur gathering expedition, so oops. I let the bear stun me. What a goof. I'm getting some good amount of hide, though, so that is some. Also a huge fan of medieval time as well as, yeah. Anything prior to the First World War, I really like. Even really the Napoleonic War. That's kind of where my interest starts to wane a little bit. But yeah, big history buff. So yeah, and other fun news. God, I am almost finally done with this frickin' college experience. God dang, I'm gonna get that scrap of paper society tells me is necessary to operate in the adult world. Don't you love it? Student loans, well, you don't love too much, but with some of the recent political machinations up in Washington, it seems we have a little bit while longer to pay those off. So, good deal indeed there. Um, with some of the job prospects I'm looking at, there's at least pretty good chance I can secure something between the $18 to $25 range starting off. And fresh out of college, that is all that I need. So, good stuff indeed. I wonder if there's going to be any of my guild members on recently. I've always wanted to take a... Oh, frick. No! I did not mean to aggro all of you. Frick. Oh, I thought this guy was helping me out. I think he did. Okay, thank Christ on the trike. You are a gentleman and a saint, whoever you are. I don't think I would have... Well, I might have... God, frickin' get my stupid ass mount out of the way. I don't know if I would have made it without that guy, so... Mr. Astronaut, you are pretty cool. You are a pretty cool dude. So what's the haul looking at right now? Pretty decent. On my portal back to Limhurst, just to hop back over to one of the early zones so I can gather up a shit ton of those tier 2 loots, just so I have something to upgrade them into. Cedar logs. Okay, sorry. I'm just working out some personal stuff in my life right now while I work. No. Bear, come back here. You are mine to kill. Frickin', come on. The bill that I read for this online recommended demon boots be used for the boot slot, and I did for a little while have another character that I played pretty frequently who used demon boots on a druid-ish build, and with cloth armor you take a little bit more damage in PvE situations since you don't have anybody tanking for you, and oh god was it great. Like holy crud, you can get some, like if you get taken down to like 1-2 HP, you can get some pretty dope ass movement speed with the demon boots ability. But the claymore build that I was running was also called for demon boots. And I'm just like I'm trying to pick up a second build here, so yeah, I tried to exchange it for the assassin boots just for the dodge ability. I don't know if the dodge ability is on any of the other boots, but it might be. God, how close am I to tier 5 woodcutting? That's adept lumberjacking. I'm getting there. Might have to save my learning points for that, because good golly, Miss Molly, that would be a while to get it up naturally. Sorry, accidentally punched my mic a little bit there while I was itching my nose. Allergies are lovely. Okay, some more Ursine-based victims. I do love this Thorns ability, even if it doesn't do the most damage. It is such a fun ability to play around with. How it can like be stacked 3 times. Lord. Yeah, so just speaking back to channel stuff, yeah, I'm I'm hoping to moving forward. I definitely want to keep playing Magic Arena. I know a couple people like that content that I know that watch the channel, so I'm definitely still going to make that happen. But I'm thinking I'm going to make Albion at the very least for the moment one of my regular content pieces. So I'm a new player, and I like to see more people get into the game, and you know hopefully be a voice that's not professional, because I know there are thousands of better Albion players than me out there, but just be someone that can maybe give a good piece of advice here or there, and you know relate to the struggle of getting good at this game. Because after my two little PvP blunders, I'm going to be a lot more careful with my approach to this. Oh god, that was so disappointing. Losing that T7 enchanted gear. Whew, gather resources worth 100,000 fame. Well, I'll be. That's pretty hot. Okay, so I was told by a guild member after I killed this poor boar that you can see on the world map where some more rare resources are being housed. Um, yeah, like this wood right here, uncommon pine logs. There's different rarities to resources you can gather to make better equipment. So let's see. Is it siphoning mages? No. No map overlay. You got to click on it? Okay. That's faction warfare. Okay, rate of enchanted resources. Okay, so not too high. Up here in Lemhurst, not Lemhurst, Rowanwood. I was about to forget my boar. Let's go see. That has been one of my major gripes so far with Albion. That, good gosh, trying to figure out how to make money has been has been a chore. But there's a lot of ways to make money, but making that good money, that's a different story. I think I got enough of the higher tier stuff I want. Let's pop back to Lemhurst, and so I can maybe go and quickly grab some of the tier 2 stuff. Then we'll get over to the refining shops and see if we could earn a bit more gold. Sweet heavens. What did I buy? I swear I started this episode. I'm gonna have to look back and see where all my silver went, because I know I have the Satchel of Insight, which at the cost of gold increases fame I get. But did it really dock me that much? Or maybe I turn it off for the moment, because I'm gonna need a little bit of money to refine all my stuff. Good gosh, Lemhurst is chugging. Alright. Back to Stagborn. Yep, just to get some birch logs and some tier 2 pelt. So I can refine the tier 3 fun stuff. On second thought, I'm just gonna quickly nab that guy's birch. On second thought, I just realized that I put my lumberjack garb in my inventory for a reason, and I haven't used it this whole time, but such is life. We're already too far gone now. God, where is the Foxy Boys? I require their skin. Don't take that out of context. Don't you do it, Wolf. Alright, very good. Oh, Foxy Boys. Ah, there. There is one singular fox. Okay. I'm gonna find like a good spawn location for them. Like sometimes it gets ridiculous the amount of hides you can harvest in one go if you know where they're spawning. Yeah, with... I'm hearing a lot of animal growling, but I think that's just copious amounts of wolves being genocided, so... I don't know if that's too good of a sign. Hello, I would like some tier 2 pellet. God, am I only going to find individual foxes? That sucks. Okay, there's one more up there. I might only do like 2 or 3 more, because I don't think I have that much tier 3 pelt that I need to refine, so... How much tier 3? I have 81. Okay. Guess I'll have to find a couple more foxes. My only question to the Albion vets out there is, what is the point of the tier 1 resources? Like, okay, at the very least I know that tier 1 wood and tier 1 stone is used a lot for building stuff on the island, but like, what is like tier 1 like scraps of hide worth? I have not seen a single thing that uses scraps of hide, so I'm curious. I mean, they put the frickin' rabbits and all the other tier 1 mobs into the game for a reason, so I don't know. God, there's not a lot of stuff. I thought there would be more. Just cut back across here. Hello, more birch. What's my birch looking at? Okay, I got 400. Yikes. Well, to fully get all my stuff done, I only really need 19 tier 3, so... Alright, we're just gonna head straight over the road, and if we don't see any more foxes, we'll TP... excuse me. We'll TP back. I'm used to Stagborn having a little bit... Sorry, unfortunate Foxy boy. Probably the last one I'm gonna catch, but... You were just unlucky. God, the screen makes me feel so bad. Oh, nope. Okay, I don't want to be a dick. You enjoy your fox. Okay, I'll go grab that birch. Alright, let's go have fun refining this crud. Or maybe was it the TP back from Rowanwood that took me out? I don't know if the TP... Yeah, I might have to check that out with my guild members, or if anybody wants to tell me in the chat. Does the TP amount of silver increase the farther you are from the city? Alright, so what am I going to first? Oh yeah, that's right. There's the Weaver and the Lumberjack over here. Or the Tanner, I should say. Tried to get into gathering cotton, but the swamp region just was not fun. You see, joke's on you, Albion advertisement. I already have premium, which I should probably use. Well, at least the focus points. Okay, and that goes to tier 4, because that requires that. Well, that's only let me do 61 at a time. That's interesting. Oh, I'm a hard-working crafter. Well, thank you for the compliment. Alright, do I have the required... You know, where am I sitting on crafting wood? Okay, that's the Adept Wood Crafter. Why not? Expert Wood Crafter. Make these cedar planks actually useful. Okay. So what do I... Okay, I just don't have enough cedar. Okay. So what is that sitting me at? Is that for 1? Or is that for 4? I hope that's... Well, I mean, it is only 7 planks, so... Alright, let's see what I can do here at the Tana. Okay, and then get that tier 3 hide. Click on that. Hopefully I'll have enough to get my tier 5 hide refined. I'll need 9. Oh, did I really not get that much tier 4 hide? Dang, I shouldn't have ran past all those boys. Oh well. Alright, let's get that. Oh, and it's... Wait, what? Oh, I was looking at my leftover tier 4 hide. I'm like, that all produced only one? What? Alright. And let's grab what tier 5 hide I can. Okay, how much tier 5 hide did I grab? Our tier 5 leather. Okay, not bad. Alright, let's go see how generous the Lemhurst market feels like being. Okay. Because it's never going to be as good as it should be. I'll sell off the scraps. It was recommended that I go farm somewhere where lumber is a secondary resource, so even though I didn't like the swamp, I might have to go back there because I was told that's the second best place for lumber. Alright, I didn't expect much from that anyway. Yikes. Stiff leather, didn't expect much from that. Yikes. Alright, well, I mean, it's skill stuff, I guess at the very least. We're almost getting back up to the 50,000 area, so now the double of, okay, I forgot the chestnut planks. Okay, alright, that wasn't the worst of hauls. Alright, you know, for more or less like 45 minutes worth of work, it's not bad. And more importantly, we were safe. Ain't no PvP crap here. Alright, let's go drop off some stuff at my island. I gotta focus on upgrading this island. Because all the building stuff's tier 1 at the moment. Do I have any more focus points, or did I just... Yeah, I just burned through all of them. What am I saying? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the end of my first episode on Albion Online. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be attempting to make it a bigger part of my content moving forward. Just vibing, talking to you guys like today about, you know, whatever I find interesting. And, yeah, thank you ever so kindly for watching. I do so appreciate your patronage, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.